Hello, my name is Alicia Ryan, and this is my action plan addressing the effects of anxiety, coping skills, and test taking strategies on standardized test scores. Our agenda today, we will first look at the original problem, then an outline of the action plan, ethical considerations, results, and a reflection. The original problem. Standardized tests have been around since the 1800s, but in 2002, the No Child Left Behind Act mandated annual testing for students in all 50 states to assess their learning. The results of these tests could result in students failing the grade or teachers being fired. Over the years, the heaviness and weight of standardized tests has become a pressure to many students across the United States, including the third grade students at Flatwoods Elementary School. The new Alabama Literacy Act requires that all third grade students who do not receive a certain score on the state standardized test must be retained. The pressure is now higher than ever. Here's a look at our Flatwoods data, Flatwoods Elementary's most recent data on the third grade ACAP practice test. The practice test mimics the actual ACAP summative assessment that students take at the end of the year. The proficiency ratings are leveled 1 to 4, with levels 3 and 4 being at or above proficiency. According to the data, 45% of the third grade students performed at a level 1 or 2, which is below proficiency. Based on the data provided, almost half of the third grade students are not proficient in reading standards. Research connected to this problem. Students work hard to achieve academic success throughout the year, but they consistently score poorly on the ACAP. Students frequently express apprehension and anxiety due to the big end-of-the-year test, and they spend weeks stressing about its approach. The anxiety that students experience is a negative emotion that they feel when they are worried about failure and are uncertain about their ability to control the outcome. Many studies have been conducted on student anxiety and test performance, and several have revealed a correlation between lower test scores and high anxiety. Anxiety can show up as a variety of different symptoms, such as behavioral, emotional, physical, or cognitive, any of which could negatively affect students during testing. Students' worry can impede their test performance and result in lower test scores. Here's an outline of my research plan. We'll first look at sampling method and sample description, instrumentation, procedures, collaborative efforts, and internal and external validity. Sampling method and sample description. This study is designed to show the effects of test-taking strategies on students' academic achievement. We will compare the state test scores of a sample group who has received specific training on strategies to cope with anxiety with a group of students who have not received any special or specific instruction on this. The result may indicate a trend that shows how anxiety coping skills can benefit students' academic success on state testing. The study will require assigned consent from the parent or guardian of the child, as well as 15 minutes of the student's time 3 times a week. The conductor of the study will require access to the student's scores for the ACAP pretest and official test, as well as planned lessons and or additional instruction material such as paper, pencils, etc. to support the lessons. A description of our student population. Only the third grade classes will participate in this study, simply due to the recent implementation of the Alabama Literacy Act and the increased stress rates of these students. All third grade students will be submitted for random selection. Of the 68 total students, 1/4 of the students will be selected at random. This group of 17 students will be randomized, mixed group from all 4 classes. This technique is stratified random that ensures a randomized neutral assortment of students from all different teachers and prior academic performance. Instrumentation. This will be the ACAP summative assessment, the practice test, and the final summative assessment. That is the test that is used across the state of Alabama for all students to measure proficiency. Here's a proposed timeline. First, all third grade students will take the practice ACAP summative assessment a month before testing. Students will be selected at random to participate in test-taking strategies and anti-anxiety lessons. This group will need to gain parent consent to perform in the study. Students will participate in 3 15-minute lessons each week for the month leading up to ACAP testing. Students will be taught explicit practices to tackle tricky questions on the test and cope with anxiety, and given the opportunity to practice these methods in theory and in demo scenarios. Students who are not participating in the small group will not receive this instruction. All students will take the ACAP summative assessment 1 month after the practice assessment. ACAP results will be viewed and analyzed, comparing the scores of students who received the lessons with the control group who did not receive those lessons. Collaborative efforts. This will take the efforts of the third grade team. I will need the assistance of the other teachers and students. The study requires that I will meet with this small group of students 3 times a week for 15 minutes. So the teachers must be able to plan to swap kids for that time. Collaborative thinking and anxiety lessons and test-taking strategies would also be appreciated. Validity. The internal validity of this process is going to be ensured by using the ACAP summative assessment. This is the assessment that is used by all students across the state of Alabama, and therefore it remains unbiased. External validity. This study suggests that students who are explicitly taught test-taking skills and strategies to cope with anxiety will perform better on standardized tests than their peers who do not receive the training. If this study shows success, test-taking strategies and anxiety coping skills can be taught to all students in the future to assist with academic achievement. Ethical considerations. Obviously, we must take into consideration safety. There's very little harm that could possibly present itself to the students through taking the ACAP test, but we will still require parent approval for them to take the lessons. Special populations, this is an unbiased assessment, and so all students are given the opportunity to partake in these lessons as long as they're given parent approval. Confidentiality, student names will be required to monitor growth when looking at the achievement scores. However, for documentation purposes, the students will be assigned numbers. Only I, who am conducting the research, will need to see the student names. Instructional Review Board, I will also need to receive approval by my school administrator before I conduct the study. Results. The goal is to see student growth. We want to see the students perform better on the real assessment than the practice assessment. When we compare the data between the control group and the sample group who has received the lessons, we hope to see that students who receive these lessons grow at a higher rate than those who do not receive those lessons. What would this mean? If students who do receive those lessons grow on average at a higher rate than those who do not, this would support that these lessons are an effective way of soothing student anxiety and making them feel more confident and prepared for the test. By incorporating these lessons into all classrooms prior to the end of the year testing, this would support that students would perform better on the test. Reflection. If given the opportunity to make any changes to the original plan, I would like to see this play out on a larger scale. I would like to include multiple grade levels in the study, and I would also like to see it take place over the course of multiple years to see if these strategies are rooted more deeply in students. Additional research to improve student achievement, we could also look at the impact of IEPs on student success, the role of technology and digital tools in preparing students for this computer-based test, and then also the impact of parent and community involvement in their child's education. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. Here are my references.